All right, so a little bit about SmartThings. So I'm the CEO and founder. We're about 12 months old. The conception of the company went back to sort of I'm a software guy, so like John was describing, I'm a cloud software guy through and through. And a couple of years ago, my family and I, we have a little tiny rustic ski house out in the Colorado mountains, and we went out for our annual ski trip, and it was all iced over, so we had to chip the door open, and it sort of ruined the trip. The whole house was basically destroyed, and what had happened was the electricity had gone out. We didn't know about it. The pipes froze. Electricity came back on, the pipes thawed, and then everything sort of burst and ran and rotted and stuff for like a month or so. And it was a really negative situation for us, is an understatement. And I just couldn't stand that we didn't know that had happened. And so Christmas of 2011, just a little bit over a year ago, sort of made it a personal project to just hook up a sensor in the house that would tell me if the temperature was dropping again. And it turned out to be a really hard problem to solve. And so I set out starting to build a connected sensor device that would be for second homeowners initially. As we got in a few months into the process and looked around, we saw that sort of the entire world, there was thousands of other projects, if not sort of tens of thousands of people sort of building new types of connected devices that would connect to the internet and so share data, be controllable in some way. And so the Nest thermostat and Fitbit and Dash, and these are all like great place meter, and a bunch of those are all great examples. And what we realized is sort of a lot of those things aren't connecting, but all together they are sort of basically bringing a digital version of the world online, where it's inextricably linked, where at any given moment, sort of how many people are in this room, whether the door is open and shut, whether your chair is occupied, whether the light's on or off, how much power is being consumed. And where if you influence the digital version of this world, it manifests itself in the physical. So you can turn something on in the digital world, it'll turn on in the real world. And if you change something in the real world, it'll sort of manifest in the digital. And the sort of really big implication of all that, outside of what we're doing, sort of in sum total, is that the world is becoming programmable with software. And so just like John was saying, it basically opens up all facets of life to be attackable by cloud computing and software. So our objective, we sort of looked around and saw that what was missing from our perspective was, just as a lot of people published web pages before Google existed, but it sort of took Google to sort of integrate the data and put it at your fingertips, or people were coming online, and it took a Facebook existing to help people come together and form the social graph, that there's something simpler going to happen on the digital side with physical objects. And so our goal is to sort of build an open and connected cloud platform that lets everyday things connect and then be programmable with apps in the cloud. So a lot of ambition there. Why all this stuff is happening now, there's a few big reasons, and then I'll get into the demo and talk about my direct context. One is bandwidth is everywhere, and that's across all standards, whether it's Wi-Fi or cellular or Bluetooth or Zigbee or Z-Wave or quantum tunneling, whatever it is, the sort of cost of connecting a device is going down and down and down. So anything that can be connected will be connected. The sort of second thing, and I think it's the biggest reason, is this little guy, the smartphone in your pocket, has sort of created a mentality where your smartphone is the remote control for the rest of your life. You have your pictures and your media and your communications on it. When you see that your front door is not connected, in the canary example, it's sort of insane to a lot of users. So they're ready for it, and they also have the right console. Last, this is a democratization of hardware, so it's easier and easier. I love the sort of Bug Labs example of in a few weeks you can sort of build, a few days you can build a new connected object type, and that's sort of pervading the world. So we wanted to build an open platform, so we did a pretty big Kickstarter campaign. This was last August and September. So over 30 days we had raised $1.2 million for the platform, about 10,000 users. More than 1,000 developers and device makers signed up, which was obviously very exciting, and incredible engagement from the community about what they wanted to do with it. In 24 hours we had more than 2,000 suggestions for the way people wanted to use the platform that we're building. So, with no further ado, what are we building? And then I'll sort of go through the implications. So I'm going to switch over to our live app here, and hopefully the demo gods will favor me here. So we we decided first, three mantras. We wanted to sort of make it easy for everyday people to participate in this. And it's still early adopters now, but we put together basically a kit where somebody could get started with a specific life scenario. So this is the Kickstarter kit that we're shipping about 1,000 a week right now. And basically it's got all the layers of our technology platform. There's a hub device you plug in. It gives it internet connectivity. It creates a bubble of all these different standards on these open networking standards for Zigbee, Z-Wave, Wi-Fi, and so on. There's things that people get. So in this, they'll have sort of connected sensors or things that can turn on and off and stuff according to their desires. And then there's the cloud platform we've built, and then, of course, our app as well. So take this out. You download the mobile app. You sort of plug in your hub, and it guides you on everything. So once you've plugged in your hub, I'll sort of ignore some of this stuff for a second. You go in here, and it makes it very simple to sort of take connected object types. Like this is a pluggable outlet. You can get one that goes in your wall, but it's something you plug in, and you can sort of turn it on and off as an example. And I'll sort of go through other examples in a second. Makes it very simple to guide the user on how to hook these things up, to sort of bring it down to somebody with a smartphone, sort of learning as they go. Then once things are connected, they also up in, this is our mobile app currently, so to show up as tiles in here. So these are connected objects that the user can see from anywhere. And so we have different examples. This is an example of something we call the SmartSense Multi. It's a little sensor that you can put on a door, cabinet, or a chair, as we'll get to, and other things. You sort of open it, and you can see if it's open or shut, sort of from anywhere. And this is all going through the cloud. Incidentally, this same thing has an accelerometer, has a vibration sensor, a temperature sensor, and can be used in thousands of other applications as well. There's a little motion sensor like this. I'll have it say hi to everybody. You can see it light up there. There's an outlet that I plugged over in the corner of the room, which I can sort of turn on and off, from anywhere. I can take another example of this little multi-sensor I've got, and if I sort of move that guy, I should see activity here in a moment. We've got what we call a presence tag. It's something you can sort of wear on a keychain. You can, of course, if you're carrying a smartphone, that's registered as a thing in our world as well. And a whole host of other stuff. I mean, everybody likes to see the example of the door lock. So that's a connected door lock as an example as well. So all of these objects I can kind of see. I can drill into them. I can sort of see a feed of my stuff with all this connected information. And sort of it makes it my smartphone into the remote control for this stuff from anywhere. So the real magic, though, is that it's an open platform. So we mean that in a couple of different ways. First, it's open to device makers. And it supports existing standards. So there's more than 1,000 object types that can currently connect through the hub to our cloud platform and sort of work off the shelf. So thermostats and door locks and in-wall outlets and switches and sensors of every type you can imagine. And I've got a moisture sensor over there and a camera and a bunch of other stuff that I'll show you afterwards if you want. It's also open to developers. And this is a really big opportunity that we saw, is that the world has been imprisoned in sort of the firmware geeks universe. And so we've created an open platform, we call it Smart Apps, that let anybody go in and publish applications for using this data and putting it together in different ways. And we've had more than 3,000 developers have signed up on the platform now, and literally sort of thousands of applications being built across all different facets of life. And I'll show you a super simple one. So if I'm in one of these objects, I've got my front door. I've named it here. I picked it up so it knows I'm active. I can sort of explore it and see what are the most popular applications for that device type. And this is just a simple example. So let there be light turns on your lights when something is opened or shut. So I'm coming home and I want the front door, to trigger my spotlight over there in the corner to come on. And so now, here's the moment of truth. If I sort of install that smart app, that light is on now. If I shut it, it's going to sort of turn off. So that's there you go. So it's a super simple example, but it's also open to web services and things as well. So we have a developer just last week sent me their Twilio integrated app where I signed up for a phone number, and now I can sort of send a text that, and this will be amazing if this works because I've literally never tested it. So I just unlocked the Z-Wave Zorlock via a text message that was authenticated to come from my phone. So an app developer built that. If I sort of go back into the environment, or into the app itself, this is sort of my SmartThings and its apps and its connected devices and so on. And I could go to my house here, and this really bugs my wife when I do this, but this is sort of my house. It's got 100 plus sort of connected things. I can see my front door and sort of turn off the front porch light as an example, or there's all sorts of privacy implications we should get into on the panel and so on. But you sort of, these are my SmartThings and what I've done. You can go to this thing on the top and sort of pull it down and see what the world of SmartThings is happening. So we've had this great community engagement from users, developers, and device makers creating new types of connected objects and then abstracting them in the cloud and opening it up for this world of different functionality. And so all sorts of different categories of life where you can sort of go in and figure out what you can do. And security and convenience and elder care and building management, all sorts of stuff are sort of emerging out of that. And it's really cool. And so an example I brought from today, I have a pet feeder in the front row that I didn't plug in, unfortunately. But a maker came to me today in New York. He was like wondering what the hell are those buttons for, these colored buttons on his TiVo remote. So he used a shield, an Arduino shield that we built, which is hi. This is my live phone here. So built an Arduino shield, an Arduino project, and with our SmartThings shield on it, it's this little guy over here, where he could it's a cloud to IR bridge where it could record any signal from any IR device and then make it do something. Then he built a little smart app in our open IDE that's the IR receiver that basically lets you take a button on this and make it program anything in the physical world. Or I could make it check me in on Facebook or whatever. But that little thing, if you want to see it, is sitting over on my laptop there. I'll push the A button and then the light is supposed to come on. But, I guess I hosed it up. So, there we go. So I just used my TiVo remote. So there's these, I'll sort of go back to it. That's sort of enough of the demo to we joke about the gestation period, which is a few days where you'll think about sort of the implications of all this stuff. But the sort of, there's some big implications. We'll just leave it at that. So as we got into the big data theme without going through how all these applications can change security when the arc of what I wake up in the morning, sort of what the house does in response to me, and when we leave, all these apps sort of intersect in all these interesting ways. So my house is an example with 104 connected things and 47 smart apps. I just pulled the data, generated 75,000 messages yesterday between it and the cloud. So I won't speak to sort of that irradiation of my body or whatever's happening there, but this is an example of a cut and paste of the 90 seconds of data coming from my house right now, from all this connected stuff. And so the possibilities are really enormous. You see turn stuff off when you leave, has it generalized across society, has sort of big implications for energy use efficiency. I think the report is 19% of carbon emissions could be eliminated through sort of basic use of these technologies, or security or independence for elders, and on and on and on. And it's sort of a really exciting world that exists in front of us as a result of the sum of all these things. And I hope I've sort of made you see that it's sort of near at hand, because you can go to SmartThings, and you see all these other great companies. This is sort of a $300 kit, that I'm demonstrating in front of you with no monthly fees or any of that stuff. It's sort of a very open possibilities now. So I'll let it gestate. I'm Alex at smartthings.com, and there's the info. So, all right.